Hey everyone, this is Adrienne AlexanderAllen. I am the owner and founder of IPY Agency, a boutique public relations firm here in Atlanta, Georgia. And this is the story of my road to success. So I am from Baltimore, Maryland originally, and when I was at home, I started out, I knew I was gonna be a radio personality or actress, and so I started out writing. So I wrote for some local magazines and publications that had a lot to do with celebrity, right? So it was like whenever I would do these interviews and have these conversations, I never meet strangers. Like even in all of my life, I've never met a stranger. And so for me, it was how can I keep these relationships and not necessarily need to be in front of the camera? And so I was doing an interview. This is for everybody. The Wire was still wildly popular. I know it's still popular, but it was like when it was running. And so it was a season with the children. And I was doing an interview with Nathan Corbett, who played Donut on The Wire. And when I was doing an interview, I asked his mom if he had a publicist. And she said no. And I was like, well, let me do it. And I'll do it for free. And so that's how it started. I started out working with a few of the cast members from The Wire. Did a lot of free work, but early on I was like, this is going to be a business. This is not a hobby. I love doing it. I love interacting with people, and that's how my agency was born. So I went to college backwards. My agency started a long time ago. I've been working in PR for almost 20 years, even though I'm only 20 years old. But I started my agency first, and because this was something that I wanted to do full time, I wanted to try to figure out a way to do it. And so early on in my career, like I said, I did a lot of stuff for free. And then the clients that did pay me were not paying me enough to sustain and to live. So I was like, okay, well, let me go back to school and see if I can do this the corporate way and get enough money to still be excited about PR and wanting to work with clients. So I did graduate from the amazing Morgan State University, HBCU love, go Bears. But I did have a full career before I went to college. And then even after I went to college, the degree really didn't make a difference because my passion is entertainment in that lifestyle celebrity space. And so school gives you the foundation, but it doesn't erase or take away from experience. Doing free work is definitely beneficial. I feel like the level of free work is where the kind of gray area comes in. We all, obviously back in the day, they were called internships, right? And you do all the grunt work, you do all of the work that nobody else wants to do. However, when you're building a business, if it's free and it's your passion, it doesn't feel free. I learned a lot doing the free stuff. I learned what not to do going forward. And also I got to the point where I learned, okay, I can't do no free stuff no more. You know what I mean? So it's like you learn from doing free. And again, as you're growing, as you're building, if this is what you love, it does not feel free. The bottom line with starting a business for me is that I don't want to work with nobody. I don't want to work for nobody. Like I'm just like, I am that person that I feel like God put me in this body and said, Adrienne, you ain't supposed to work for nobody. So it was easy for me to, even before I knew what business was for real, it was very easy to say, I need to do what I need to do so I don't have to work for anyone else. And so early on, I learned how to research. I am a well of unnecessary information. Like, it's like, and if you ask me something and I know the answer to it, it's going to bother my spirit until I can get you that answer. And so I went and did my due diligence to find out what I needed to do. And I got my LLC for my business. I got my EIN for my business. And it's funny because I look now and everybody is making a big deal about business credit, right? And it's like, oh, build your business credit and do this. And I actually have had my EIN since 2001. And it wasn't until probably about a year or two ago that I ever applied for anything in my business name, because that was just, again, it was just a part of it. Like, I know I wanted to be official, and for me, being official was enough. I didn't need to build credit or do anything else with my business, because having a business was enough for me. No one helped me in this business. No one other than Mr. Google. Google was the person that helped me. So, and it's funny because, again, a lot of people, even with the college experience, obviously because I went later in life, my college experience was different. But so many people rely heavily on mentors and mentorship, or, like the career department in your school. And I didn't have those things because when I was in college, I already had children. I already had 3 children going into school. I was the oldest in the class. My classmates called me Miss Adrienne, which was hilarious to me. So it was a lot for me. Like, my background is one that I've always been pretty much self-sufficient because of the life that I was dealt. And so for me, it was just really figuring it out. And it's like, I know I have me to depend on. And if it's only me, I have to figure it out. It was tough building a business with a family because my older 2 children are only 20 months apart. My baby, he came 8 years after that. So when I went back to school, I had, I think my children were like 10, 8, and 1 or something like that. And so I think the hardest part was daycare and making sure that you have someone to watch the children. I was a single mom with my first 2 for a long time. And then I was married with my youngest son. And so even though being married helped some, I was still in that mindset of I'm a single parent. And he'll probably say that's why we got divorced, but I was still, so it was like, even for me, I utilized every opportunity that was available for me. So my job that I had offered reimbursement, school tuition. So I was able to get, and this is, look, if any of y'all work for state government and they offer you in-school tuition reimbursement, take it, even though it's not the money. So I was able, my job actually gave me 6 hours a week to go to school. So I would leave work in the middle of the day, go take classes, and go back to school. And then I had night classes. And so it was, for me, again, even though in the later part I had a husband, I still felt like it was on me to make it happen. And so I was the one that made sure somebody kept the kids. I was the one that made sure I could pay for school. I was the one that did my due diligence with making sure the numbers was right on my FAFSA. Y'all know what I mean. But yeah, it was me. Like, I had to do it, and I felt like I had my children, and regardless of what their dad did, my ex-husband did, like, it was still on me. A huge challenge of building any business is the business, right? Like, you want to build a business and you want to get paid. You want some money. And so building a business does not come with money right away. And so I think that's why a lot of people, if you're a solopreneur, don't get, or entrepreneur, workpreneur, don't let anybody tell you that that's wrong or not to do that. Because if you have to work a full-time job while working your business, do that. Whatever's going to still, because we need to eat, we need to live, you got to have a roof over your head. So if you need to work a 9 to 5 and then work a 5 to 9 job on your business, do that. Because the business is not going to just come self-made. Like, you're not going to just say, oh, I'm starting a business today and tomorrow you're a millionaire. It doesn't work that way. And so with business, in order to get paid, you have to do the things that are going to help you along the way. And some people are able to, get money right away, and that's fine. I applaud everyone in their journey. Everybody's journey is different. But for me, my journey did not start with money from a business. My journey started with working full-time job, working business full-time, and going to school full-time. I think for me, I knew I was official when I met LaToya Jackson. I was like, I'm like, ooh, I met a Jackson. It's not the Jackson, but it's a Jackson. You know what I mean? So I feel like PR gave me such amazing opportunities. I know that now, people are really like, oh, I'm a publicist. And it's different because you have the internet, and you have so many people who have become famous from the internet. So they kind of got a back door into celebrity and into entertainment. But for me, there was no back door. So it was, like for me, as a true, I say true, not disrespectful at all. I'm saying as a publicist that had to go through the yellow pages or look through white papers, who had to email people and pick up the phone, and there was no social media. We got it out the mud, as the children say today. You know what I mean? There was no internet that stared you in the face, that gave you every piece of information that you needed. And so for me to early on in my career, be able to make it to the BET Awards every year, or go to All-Star, ESPYs, doing these huge events with these people that I watched on television, and I got paid to go there. You know what I mean? They're flying me there. They're paying for my hotel. They're giving me food. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it was like a wow, I get paid to travel and essentially be a babysitter, because that's what you do. Like, we are, as a publicist, you are a babysitter, you are a gatekeeper, you are a secret keeper, you are a manager, you are security when security isn't around. We hold so much. And I think that, unfortunately, that's a part that publicists of today, like if you're starting now, you won't get to benefit from those things because it's changed so much. But for us, it was really, relationships were formed over the telephone. People don't use the telephone like that anymore. Even though the people who know and benefit from still do it, but the majority of people don't. And I think that it's kind of a disservice to them, because PR, it evolves. It doesn't change. It evolves. And that evolution is part of what's missing from today. Two key events for me that happened early on that helped me to realize that this was really what I wanted to do. So I mentioned that Nathan was like my very first client. And as a start, I was able to get Nathan in Right On magazine. So for anybody that's old enough to remember Right On, it was like, for me starting out, this is my first client. This is my first time saying I'm going to do PR. And I was able to get Nathan a spread in Right On. So that was great for me, because I'm like, oh, okay, I can do this for real. And then, like just being in that celebrity space and being around people that people don't believe that you're around them. And they all, I swear, every time I would post something or I go to an event, people were like, oh, put me in your suitcase, or can I be your assistant? And it was really funny, because there was a time when I have a comedian client who I've been working with for years, and a lot of working with him has put me in other spaces as well. And so when Cat Williams was wildly popular, I was able to get Cat to do my voicemail. And so it was like the funniest thing. And it was like, hey, if you owe Adrienne some money, leave a message, or if you don't, nobody believed that it was really Cat on my voicemail. And I'm just like, it's him. And so, of course, going back to, there was no Cameo back. I know people now, you can pay on Cameo and things like this. But no, Cat Williams, for anybody who ever thought that I was lying, that was really him on my voicemail. So I mentioned that I do a lot on my own, and that's because I was raised by my grandparents. And I was raised by my grandparents because both of my parents struggled with addiction, alcoholism, substance abuse. And so being raised by your grandparents, I got all the love and the care that I could imagine. There was things that I would have changed, absolutely. But when you are skipping generations, your grandparents give you what they can. So that means that your needs are taken care of. Your wants are your own. And so for me, I had wants, and wants were money. So money meant I started working when I was 14. I left home when I was 16. As soon as I turned 18, I had my own place because I was legal and I could sign the lease. And after that, it was just I needed to make sure that Adrienne was good. It was just, I know that I have children, so I have to make sure my children good. I have me, I have to make sure that I'm good. I'm married, my husband is gonna be good, even though he's an adult and a grown man, he's gonna take care of himself. But I know that I can't solely depend on anyone else to do anything for me. So I gotta make sure that Adrienne got Adrienne. I stay up to date because I'm nosy. That's first and foremost. And I think as a publicist, if you aren't nosy, you're in the wrong profession. But I am, honestly, I think I've always just been in the know and staying. Even when it comes to my children, I was always like the cool mom because I know the songs, I know the lingo. It's not as easy now with this 2021 stuff, so my youngest son probably doesn't feel the same way about me. But I stay constant. Like, I am not the person that a trend missed me. Apps don't miss me. I don't stay out of the loop too far. And if I feel like something happened and I don't know what it is, then I do have my youngest son to say, hey, Joshua, what's this? And I'm using him, yes, but that's what free labor is for. But you do have to stay up to date. If you're a business owner, you have to follow the trends. You have to know what's now, what's current, what's coming. Like, you just have to pay attention and know that if something changes, you have to be ready for it. You have to be, when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So I make sure that anything that comes up, and I also stay in the trade papers. I get emails. I'm signed up to so many newsletters, especially ones that are in the PR space, to make sure that anything that comes out, I'm aware of it. I use the ability to stay up to date to assist my clients by bringing them in on whatever I see. So I'm always, if I see someone else in the news that's something relevant to my client, then I can say, hey, I saw this would be good for you. Or again, if an app comes out, if there's some software that can help them along the way, or if there is an event coming up. I mean, even though we're in COVID now, but it's still opportunities to say, I saw this, let's try that, and spin it into a way that it's relevant for them and beneficial. So for me, COVID was a lot. I mean, I know COVID was a lot for everyone, but luckily for me, my business is already digital and virtual. So there wasn't much to change on my side of it. But for my clients who traveled and worked outside of the home, it was a lot for them. Obviously, lots of events were canceled, travel was canceled. And so for those first couple of months, I honestly told my clients, don't pay. Like, it wasn't a big deal. I wasn't, running them down to say, you still had to pay me, because no one really knew what was going to happen and where the world was going. And so after that first month and a half or 2 months, then I was like, okay, let's figure this out. What digital events are going on? Who's going virtual? Let's change what you're doing. If you offer a service, let's bring that service virtual and start doing some lives and IG Live, Facebook Live, like incorporating your base into this digital space and bringing you over here so that it wasn't so hard and it didn't affect your pockets as much. In the new way of doing PR, I definitely don't like these social media publicists. It is a detriment and disservice to public relations. And I say that to say there are so many people who feel like PR is strictly social media. All you have to do is make some posts online, blast a e-blast or boost a post, and that's going to be your PR. And that is not how PR works. And unfortunately, a lot of publicists, including myself, we do more damage control for the field of PR than we do for PR sometimes. It's just like, whenever potential clients come to you, most of the beginning of the conversation is I had a publicist that didn't do anything for me. I had a publicist that all they did was took my money. I had a publicist that wanted to be on the red carpet more than I was on the red carpet. I had a publicist who thought that they were the client. You know what I mean? So it's like, these are how our conversations start. And I hate that we have gotten to the point that we have to PR ourselves before we get a client because of the wrong that has been done by publicists that truly aren't vast. They aren't experienced in the world of being a true publicist. Having PR on your team is one of the, if not the most important person on your team. Your publicist is the person that is responsible for your story. And I want to also explain for people, because the same question is asked all the time, and that is, can you get me gigs? Will you get me money? That is not what a publicist does. And I think that if more people understood what a publicist is and what we actually do, you would see the value and the benefit in it. But even though we're most important, we're the ones that are usually nickel and dime. You know, it's like you pay your manager because your manager is taking a commission. You pay your agent is taking a commission. When it comes to PR, you're just like, well, can I give it to you on the back end? Or can you book me and just, I pay you for what you get? It doesn't work that way, because as publicists, we are the ones who are reaching out on your behalf. We hear 20 no's before we get one yes for someone to tell your story. So you are investing in time. You're investing in a foundation for your brand that cannot come any other way without you having a publicist on your team. So on your team, there should be your manager. Your manager is the person who is booking you gigs. Your manager is the person that is going out and looking for work for you, which is why managers get paid based on what they bring you. If they don't, and that's changed some too, because now because people want to get paid. People want money. So initially it was that managers only got paid based on what they brought in, but there are some managers that now ask for money up front as well. Your agent is, again, for those who are entertainment, your agent is the person that is submitting you for paid opportunities. Managers and agents work in money. They are the ones that are bringing you money in. You look to them for your money. I need you to get me money. I need you to get me paid. Your publicist, you pay your publicist for people to know your story. We are the ones that are getting you free media, earned media. If there's anything that is remotely money-based, advertisements, billboards, social media blasts, anything that you have to pay for, those are tangible items that fall more under marketing and advertising. Publicists work in free media, television, radio, newspapers. Anything that is earned, you have to earn media, and that's how PR works. If you pay for your media, you're paying for marketing, you're paying for advertising. If you want a gig, if you are a singer, actor, dancer, and you want someone to book you gigs, you need an agent or a manager to book you gigs to get you money. The main thing that is looked at that's negative in PR is that it takes time. And if you are not willing to invest your time and trust the process, PR is always going to be and feel negative to you. We have, because again, this is free, we can't make anyone write a story about you. You can feel like my story is the best story. Oh my God, they're going to hear about Adrienne and the world is going to stop. And a journalist or a writer could look at Adrienne's story and be like, this is the most, like, I've seen 20 Adriennes. And a lot of people don't understand that, which is understandable because it's your story and you feel like your story is the best story. But we can't make them do anything. And that's why a lot of times when I tell people there are no guarantees in public relations, they're like, well, that's not what the last publicist told me, or that's not what this. And I'm like, you know, a quick Google search will let you know that there are no guarantees. We work with editors, we work with writers, we work with journalists. They have editorial calendars. They have editors that tell them no. We have breaking news stories. We have so many things that can bump your story. And if you aren't invested in understanding the value in PR, you're going to look at it like it's a waste of time and a waste of money. I can pitch you for a story, or you can do an interview in January and that story not come out till March or April, because that's their lead time. Whatever outlet that you're working with, whatever magazine, newspaper, editorial, they have their own calendar, they have their own time of doing things. And I can't call them and say, no, you need to put this story out now. It's not me. And if people don't understand that, again, it's going to feel negative. It's going to feel like I'm not doing anything. It's going to feel like, oh, I'm wasting money on this, because most people, when they hire a publicist, they like, oh, okay, I hired you today. Next week, I need to be on the cover of Old Magazine, or I need to, and for me, luckily, I have gotten to the point where I don't have to take on every client. If I feel your energy from the beginning and your energy feels like, oh, you're going to be that person that doesn't understand, then we're just not a good fit. And that's what a lot of people need to do also, is interview your publicist. Your publicist can be a great publicist for you, but that doesn't mean that the next person is going to get that same result and outcome. So we need to, it's relationships, it's personalities. You have to make sure that the person that you work with, all of your team should be people that understand you and are on the same page that you're on. So what keeps me going in PR is just that I love it. I love the relationships. I love the newness. PR, like I said earlier, it evolves. It doesn't change. Like, the practice of PR doesn't change. It evolves, and the evolution is great. But that feeling of a win for your client is a win for you. So it's just, and I think that if more people understood that we as publicists are really working for you, like, we're determined, like, if a story falls through, trust me, we are more hurt, angry, frustrated about it than you are, because we are working our tails off in the background to get you this win. And I just feel like if people recognized and understood that we want you to win, like, I want you to win. Every client that I have, I want you to win, because when you win, I win. And that's motivation for me. Looking for opportunities for my clients, seeing how excited they are when something. I had one of my clients just recently was in Prevention Magazine, and I noticed she was super excited about that. And so it's huge, especially when you land like national publications. Like, it's just great motivation. So I'm like motivated to get to the next one. Like, okay, what can I do next? So it's constant. It's always moving. I stay positive about the future by toning them folks out. I learned a long time ago that you can't please everybody. And I've had situations where I tried to please people, and I honestly can say I felt bad about it. Like, yo, why is this not working? Like, I'm doing everything I can for you. And it comes a time when you're just like, you have to let people be. And I used to, it served my heart fondly to go toe to toe with people. I swear to God, it did. I would go in the ring with you, as my husband says. And it really took my current husband to say, you don't have to get in the ring with everybody. And when he first said it, I was like, what? No, they said this to me, and I'm going to say that. And then he was like, but you don't have to get in the ring with everybody. It's like, they're going to say what they're going to say. And it took me a minute. It took me a minute to, I probably shuffled back a little bit and stayed in the ring and got on the ropes and got back in the ring and got outside the ropes and went back to the ropes and went back outside. You know what I mean? Like, because when you're so used to people pleasing or defending, because we do all this in the name of defending ourselves, right? It's like, you can't try to disrespect me. You can't disrespect my honor. You can't disrespect my name. You can't disrespect my people, and it's in the name of defending yourself, is all this back and forth and feeding into the negativity and allowing it to, affect you. And I'm just like, if I don't give it to you, you can't affect it, period. So I have to leave those people where they are. And you know, it's even sometimes I've done a good job of shutting conversations down. It's like if I ask you a question one time and you come back and try to ask it to me in a different way, you just will not get a response from me. When I get to 70 or 80, I will be proud to have left a mark. You know, I didn't have generational wealth handed down to me. I didn't have property left for me or anything like that. And I want to change all of that. So I wanted to be that my children have a place to call their own. I wanted to be that, you know, if my business stays in business, you know, maybe my children will change it into something else. It might not be full on PR anymore, but maybe it'll just be like IPY agency digital and, you know, like whatever the futuristic thing is that's happening. Because we know a lot of things will change as the future goes on, but some things will always stay the same. Like you just can't take away human interaction. You can't take away relationships and just really being able to be personable and have a conversation with somebody, right? And so I will be very proud and smile to see that my children hold on to wanting to really connect with people and keep my name around to say, you know, like my mom did great at this or my mom was good at that. Yeah, so I definitely, with my business, this is the year of partnerships for me. And so I feel like, you know, with everything that happened in 2020, with the Black Lives Matter and just really this social unrest, you know, it was like a lot of things that we knew. Everybody know it was happening and going on behind the scenes, but like 2020 really put a lot of stuff in the forefront. And I honestly want to be a part of this social movement to bring us back together. I feel like for those of you who know, there was a huge viral moment where a lot of our top celebrities will skip smaller outlets on a carpet. They skip Black outlets on a carpet. And I feel like a lot of that is because their representatives don't look like them. And, you know, it's like if your publicist or your manager, your agent doesn't make Black people a priority, then why should it be a priority for you? And I feel like if through partnerships this year, we can get our celebrities and our high level talent back and bring them to representatives that look like them, I think that that would be a great thing to have happening. So for the future and the current, I am an author as well. So I wear many hats. So outside of being a publicist, I am also certified in conflict resolution and conflict management, which is another way that I stopped dealing with negativity. I teach people how to deal with it and communicate effectively. But then I also, as the adult child of addicted parents, I felt like it was placed on my heart to write a children's book. And so my children's book is out. It's called My Parents Have a Drug Problem. And it was written because most of the stories that we hear about addiction come from addicts. You know, it's like we're talking about how addicts go into recovery. We're talking about addicts after recovery. We're talking about their experience with substance abuse and how they went through addiction and what made them want to change. But there aren't stories of the children who go through addiction with these parents. You know, I have stories of understanding that if my dad asked to borrow my electronics, I would never see them again. Or, you know, like having anger issues and you know, having to really get into fights with my dad because of his addiction, or understanding that my dad used like I said, I was raised by my grandmother, which was his mother, and him just really, because he knew that he could do the things that he did to my grandmother. I did call her mom, but to my grandmother, because he didn't have anywhere to live. So, you know, it was a lot of hurt. And I resented my dad a lot because for me, he was disrespecting my grandmother. You know, it's like, why are you sleeping on my grandmother's couch that she paid good money for? Why are you bringing women into my grandmother's house? You know, it's like, there are no stories that really allow children to have a conversation about the things that they see when they live with parents who are addicted. And so My Parents Have a Drug Problem is written for children under 10. It is a picture book. But then it also has a guide that comes with it that's called A Guide to Talking to Children About Drug Addiction, because this is their reality, right? We aren't having these conversations because children aren't asking questions. And children aren't asking questions because this is normal for them. And so how do we get them to understand that this isn't normal? Yes, it's your normal and it's your reality, but you shouldn't have to go through this and you shouldn't have to go through it alone. So buy my book. It will be available Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever books are sold. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this segment. If you have any questions, please follow me on Facebook, IPY Agency LLC, on Instagram, I'm Promoting You, and on Twitter, Promoting You. Thanks for watching.